I once started out in business as a personal trainer, and to this day, I continue to say, like, if I wouldn't have my business coaching business, I would probably have some sort of health business, especially because busy entrepreneurs are in so much need of enough self-care and health practices that I've kind of seen this thing with my clients that they all work so hard, but they are so terrible at taking care of themselves that I thought, okay, why not record a podcast episode on how to approach your health like an entrepreneur. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you the 4 metrics I focus on for my own health and kind of also how that relates to your business and goal setting. So let's dive right in. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, the show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. I'm going to be the first one to say that I also struggle with this. I struggle with this a ton. I've actually just had this weekend where I was like, whoa, these past couple of weeks were so busy, not just business-wise, but personally a lot was going on. I had so many weddings to attend to, and I had very little introverted time. And last Saturday, I completely crashed. And I didn't crash I was sobbing all day, but just I was like, okay, today I do not get up from the couch and I just lie here. But I also know that when that happens, it's usually a sign that I haven't been taking care of myself enough. And so I always go back to looking at how can I take better care of myself. Usually I've gotten pretty good at this lately, but sometimes, like in these past couple of weeks, it was just a bit too much, and I'm not too proud to admit that. I actually even think that online there's a really big taboo on, hustle culture is bad, but always chilling is bad. And I feel like there's very little nuance in what we are showing online, and how we are basically showing up in a very honest way about the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. And for me, I can say I don't work part-time. I work full-time for my businesses, and I work hard for my clients, and I actually respond to their messages. And I also work hard for my health, and I have a lot of lovely time with my family, my friends, and my partner. But what happened in June is it was just a bit too much. And then I had that Saturday where I was like, well, fuck my life. And I felt a bit ashamed about that. But then I realized I don't need to feel ashamed about it. I need to share how I actually handle that and how I make sure that I don't burn out as an entrepreneur, and which ways I've kind of incorporated into my life to prevent that. And that's basically what I wanted to share. As I was saying all of that, by the way, I realized that this is actually what I want to talk about. This is how I'm prioritizing my health as an entrepreneur and how I'm preventing burnout as an entrepreneur. And I think this is what a lot of people need to hear. So the way I do that, the first thing, and this goes back to when I was nearing burnout, actually many years ago, back when I was still a personal trainer, I was working with so many clients. And at the end of the day, I tended to be just incredibly exhausted, so exhausted that it was hard for me to just like take off my clothes. And I started working with a self-care coach back then. And she basically helped me see that my sleep was a really big linchpin and that I needed to start prioritizing my sleep more. So I have 4 metrics that I tend to track for my well-being in a very mathematical way, the way I am. And of course, I first check in with myself, how I'm feeling, but I've just seen these correlations that when my sleep goes down and down, like it did last week, then I end up crashing. When I don't move my body enough, my body tends to start feeling a little bit stuck. So let me share these metrics with you. The first one is sleep. I wear an Oura ring so I can track my sleep, because a lot of people think they sleep 8 hours, but they're actually in bed 8 hours, and then they read for an hour, and then they don't actually sleep, and they're not actually sleeping 8 hours. So I track my sleep with my Oura ring. I would love to hit 8 hours of sleep, but that would mean I would be in bed by 10 and I would wake up at 7 and I would actually be asleep. But in reality, it's more the case that I go upstairs at 10 and then I read a bit and then I read a bit too long and then I go to sleep and then I hit like 7 hours and a half of sleep. So I've also noticed that that's fine. I think I would thrive on 8 hours of good sleep. 7.5 is also working pretty well for me. What happens when it goes under 7 hours? Like in the past week, I was at like 6 7.5 hours of sleep, I don't do well. And what happens is when my sleep goes down, then my HRV goes down, which is my second metric I use to measure like how I'm doing. And I call that my stress metric. So basically HRV is what you would, normally you have your heart rate, and your heart rate is supposed to be low when you're resting and high when you're active or working out, for example. But when you are constantly stressed, your HRV, which is the heart rate variable or something, heart rate variant. Let me look it up 1 second. Yeah, okay, heart rate variability. So it basically means that the variability needs to be high, but if you're constantly stressed, the variability becomes really low. So I call this my stress metric. The more stressed out I am, the busier I am. If I drink alcohol, for example, my HRV drops. If I'm being too social, it drops. A couple of weeks ago, I had a really fun weekend away with friends. I love them. I feel at home with them, but I had zero time to recharge, and my HRV just went completely downhill. And when my sleep goes down, my HRV goes down, and I'm just not doing as well, and then my face gets all hot and heated and stuff like that. So these are my first two metrics that I pay attention to, and these are basically my baseline. Now you can set these as goals, and I think managing your sleep is a bit easier to manage as a goal than the HRV, because the HRV is an outcome of so much. So for sleep, you could set your outcome-based goal could be, I want to sleep 7.5 hours, right? Like in your business, you could say, oh, I want my podcast to have 1,000 downloads every week. But, a lot of things can happen. If I don't take my supplements for my muscle disease, I'm not going to hit enough sleep because I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night. If I don't go upstairs on time, I won't hit those hours of sleep. So what you could always do if you have goals, no matter if that's like business goals or health goals, is you can work backwards from that. So for example, for me, yeah, sure, I can set HRV as an outcome-based goal, but I would then have to look at the processes that tap into that. And for me, for example, today's the first day I'm drinking matcha. In the beginning of the year, I said I was going to stop drinking coffee, and guess what? I didn't. But because these past couple of weeks were so much, I was like, well, Amy, today is the start of a new week. Today's the day you're going to stop drinking coffee, or not stop drinking coffee on an empty stomach, and start your day with some matcha. So I finally made myself some matcha. And this could be a metric that I track for myself. If my goal is to get a really high HRV, I could say, okay, then I am going to drink a maximum of 2 coffees, not after 1 p.m. and not on an empty stomach, for example. And these are things that I could manage. If my HRV then goes up or not, well, let's hope so. So, what I wanted to point out there is what I did a couple of episodes ago, is that a lot of people tend to just look at what they want to accomplish, and these are your outcome-based goals, but they don't look at the steps that come before that. So for me, for example, I could say, oh, I need to go upstairs at 9:30 and I take a hot shower every night. These could be habits that I use. And then hopefully I'll hit the target of hitting 8 hours of sleep, for example. But there's a difference between the process that you have control over versus the outcome that you don't really have control over. Which has to do with actually my third metric. So I just call this my strength metric. You might have seen this on my stories, but I work out quite a lot. But I'm not always as focused. Sometimes I just go through the motions. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked my trainer, hey, could you give me some targets? Because I feel like I'm just going through the motions. And this is not motivating to me. So she showed me the strength standards. And these are the standards that, as someone who's doing weights training, it would be good if you could hit them. So now I have these targets for myself, for my bench press, for my deadlift, chin-up, squat, all of that. So now I have these targets. Again, very outcome based, because I can say I want to be able to bench press 50 kilos, but it might take me a year to get there. But what I do have control over is the process of working out 4 days a week. So my strength metric that I track is actually not how much I'm deadlifting or how much I'm benching. My strength metric is simply, did I do 4 strength workouts every week? That's the metric I'm tracking. So as you see, I have these 4 metrics. Sleep, okay, hit 7 hours and a half on average of sleep, ideally 8 hours. Stress, get my HRV as high as possible, always just higher than the week before if it crashed. It was actually doing pretty well. It's just the last week was terrible. My strength is just hit the 4 strength training workouts. And sometimes I'll set a goal on that and I'll be like, okay, Amy, I want you to focus more because I noticed that I was just going through the motions. So now I might become a bit more strict to myself and work towards those strength targets, just be a bit more focused. And my last metric is my steps. And I know there's a lot of shit out there about steps targets. And so many people are like, the 10K steps, like who chose that it's 10K steps? But I'm going to be honest with you. If I just walk around and do my thing, I hit about 7,000 steps. And that's okay. But it also means sometimes I didn't go outside or I didn't actively move my body. I was just, just like walking around all day in the house. Basically from my office to my coffee machine. No. But if I want to hit 10,000 steps, usually that means I go outside for a walk or there is a little bit of an active element in my day. And I feel that when I hit 10,000 steps, I generally just feel better. So for me, the 10,000 steps work well. Now, what doesn't work for me, and this might astonish you, is having these absolute targets every day. Because I'm not hitting 7 hours and a half of sleep every single day. Sometimes I have a dinner at night and then I wake up early for my daily life and I don't hit that. But then the night after, I do hit it or I hit more and I have an average. Same with my steps. I used to be this very anal person who wanted to hit all of her targets every day. But then I realized it's not about the daily targets, it's about the weekly targets. So the way I track all of this is actually weekly. I track my averages because it gives me a little bit more breathing room and it just takes into account my life basically. But it does also keep me focused that maybe I need, I'll see that I'll be sleeping more in the weekend or I'll have a hard time waking up on Saturdays. And I kind of know like, oh, that's because you didn't get enough sleep during the week. Okay, your average might be okay, but you should have gotten it earlier in the week. Or if I didn't hit my steps during the week, I'll see it like going downhills because I remembered in the beginning of the week and then I didn't plan for breaks in the rest of my week. So I'll always review my week. I'll debrief what went well, what could have gone better, and I'll plan my next week. And all of that has really helped me get to a point that luckily last week was a bit of an exception where I had a little bit of a Saturday vegging out. And also we're allowed to just sometimes lie on the couch and watch 2 seasons of a new show that we didn't finish in one weekend. But I think it is a good, for me, sleep is a linchpin. And I think a lot of people wear it as a badge of honor. I used to wear it as a badge of honor many, many years ago that I didn't sleep a lot or to always go, go, go. But if I don't take a break midday to eat or to go for a walk, my HRV drops. My Aura ring shows me that. So start somewhere is what I would say. Is it taking a break for lunch? Is it going for a walk after lunch? Is it turning off your phone at 8 p.m. so your HRV can go up? Is it starting by investing in a fitness tracker? I know a lot of people are afraid of fitness trackers and stuff. I don't necessarily wear a bracelet or a watch. I just look at all of this as data. Like in my business, I look at my podcast downloads as data. I look at my cash flow as data and just like, okay, this is the outcome. Do we need to do more of something else so that we can get more of a certain outcome? And I think approaching health like that, for some reason, for some people it won't work. But for me, it works pretty well because I can hit my targets easily. And these are really healthy targets. It's about not being too stressed out. It's about making sure I prioritize my body. So maybe you can look at your own. For me, for a while, some of these were taking my supplements every day. But then I started to manage taking them every day. So it didn't become a target anymore. But for some reason, the sleep, the stress, the steps, and also the strength training workouts, especially if my trainer is not here, these continue to be things I need to focus on if I want to become healthier and like the best version of myself. So I hope this gives you a couple of insights. 1 second, I'm gonna blow my nose. It's really one of my biggest wishes that people can build a financially abundant life without burning out and while thriving personally. And I think if you want to do that, the big takeaway here, what I actually want to say is make sure you prioritize yourself, because running your own business is not easy. It's pretty heavy. And if you forget to take care of yourself while you're at it, you're going to run into a wall faster than you might realize. And if you have difficulty tapping into how you feel, a couple of metrics like these might actually really help you on your path to more. So I made a little tracking sheet. You can use it for your business to track some data there, or you can use it for your body. I've done that for my body as well. And currently in my home gym, I have these really big Post-its on my wall. And every Monday, I just track my data from the past week. And then I see like, my sleep was not good. Oh, that's why I crashed on Saturday. Or that's why I was annoying to my boyfriend. I wanted to say fiance. I don't know why I want to say that, because that's not the case. Haha, he never listens to my podcast, so I didn't say this. So if you want to get started tracking your data, I know it's something a lot of people think they're bad at. You're not bad at it. You just don't know how to track your data. And I have created a tracking sheet for you so you can start doing it. So go to fastforwardamy.com/tracking sheet. I always say, if you can do something for 100 days and simply track the data, you are going to see improvements, you're going to get better at it, and you are going to see results. So go to fastforwardamy.com/tracking sheet, grab that sheet. I've included a little tutorial for you on how to use it, how to set your targets for your business, but you can then just like extrapolate it, make a duplicate, and put in the targets that we talked about today. Make your own. Don't make too many. I would say 3 to 5 is enough. I would usually just go for 3 if I'm being honest. Start there and let me know if you downloaded the sheet and if you liked it. Okay, bye. Talk to you next week. You want to make money on Instagram, but you're not exactly sure what you actually need in order to make that happen. Chances are you're creating content and you're trying different things, but it seems to not really click together, and you're wondering why those other people are getting in all of those sales, but you aren't. Well, in reality, even if you're only selling for 30 euros every day, that's an extra 1,000 a month if you can make it work. But so many people actually can't because they don't see the full picture and they are missing one key element. That's why I've made the Instagram income map for my clients, which is a PDF workbook that you can go through in 1 hour. You'll discover the 8 building blocks that determine whether you just attract clients on Instagram or just talk about sales, or that you can actually go from attracting clients to getting in sales every single day. And I want that for you. So you can go and grab the workbook now, available for only 27 euros for a limited time. Go to fastforwardamy.com/income map and I'll send it over to you instantly, or click the link in the description of this episode.